You said you ended up being rated.
Okay, I'm rated a signalman. Yeah, so that's my job. Uh, somebody had to tell the captain when and where to turn the ship because we got the orders from the other ship. That's not nice to say that, but actually we did that. But we had very good. Oh, that was great duties, no doubt about it.
And a PC is considerably smaller than a destroyer,
Yes, it is.
and a lot smaller than an attack transport.
Wow. Yes, it was. 195 feet long, I guess it was. And we had only 54 crewmen and 5 officers, I believe it was. So we were really about like family on this ship. And the other signalman and I, see, the ship was rated, 2 rated signalmen, a second class and a third class. I was the third class. I had all the paperwork done to be second class, but if I got to be second class, that would kick him off, and he was my buddy. So I would be happy to just stay as third class signalman. And actually, we got discharged on the same day. Our last cruise was for Navy Day of 1945, which is what, like something October 8th or something like that. We were left from Miami, went up to Panama City, and for Navy Day, the war's over now, and so we were allowed to bring civilians aboard ship and show them around, and that was our job. I have the picture there. Can I show this one? I don't know if you can pick that up, but that's our ship coming into Panama City. We're full dressed. That's called a full dress. Were you in the Navy?
No.
Okay. When you have the flags up like that, that's called a full dress ship. I had to do it because I was a third class signalman. But for what, like 2 days or something like that, we were in Panama City, and it was a wild time because it was party time in Panama City. They had carnival going on, and it was a lot of fun. Anyhow, we got back to Miami, and both Jim Shull, the second class signalman, and I were transferred off to the training, or to the, what do they call that, receiving ship in Miami, and we were discharged.
And that was in October of 45, you said?
November 11. Oh, what is it? Back up a little bit.
Actually, let me stop you and change this tape out real quick.
Okay.
Well, what was it like being able to essentially go to war from 9 to 5 and then have your nights in Miami? And
Yeah.
what was there for you to do? What was Miami in 1944 and 1945 like?
Okay, actually, shouldn't say that word. Several of us on the PC got to be real good friends with a family are a husband and wife that own their small restaurant. It was like a breakfast and lunch restaurant right on Biscayne Boulevard in Miami. And we got to be they got to be very friendly with us. And both ways. And we would help them after hours, maybe clean up their restaurant a little bit. And if we had the night off, they would take us to their house. Beautiful house in Miami. I remember all that tile on the floor, and fans on the ceiling. And like we each had our own bedroom in their house. They didn't have any kids. We were like their kids. And sometimes she would come over to the ship. You got the night off? Oh, yeah, okay. They'd take us to the movies. They were very good to us. It was hard to leave them when I got discharged. But I did like going to New Orleans. Prudential had 5 or 6 conventions down to Miami Beach, Hollywood, and I would always stop in and see them. And matter of fact, I left my sea bag in their garage, and last time I was there, it was still hanging there. I should have brought some of that stuff home. My dog tags were in there. When the war was over, I got my discharge paper, had some money in my hands. Actually, I went to the local haberdashery and bought civilian clothes to come home in. I didn't come home in my uniform. I said, it's over, I'm going home. And that's what I did. Went home and walked in the door. I says, I'm home. Civilian life was on.
Well, how did you hear about like when Germany surrendered? How did you hear about that?
I think it came over the loudspeaker on the ship, and everybody that was not needed aboard ship that night could take off and go into Miami, and it was big time. Naturally, they closed all the bars, so there wasn't any drinking or stuff like that, but it was just, the streets were just packed with people and servicemen. And it was a lot of fun. You see everything that happened in New York City, same thing happened in Miami. It was a big time. And on VJ Day, it was even bigger. It was really great, People were so happy, and we were happy too. Hey, Ma, I'm coming home.
I've interviewed a couple of female sailors who were in Miami on VJ Day.
Did you? Yeah. Okay. Speaking about the VJ, the women sailors, a couple of them knew Morse code, and we could talk to them in their barracks. I never got a date or anything like that, but we would actually talk to some of the waves. That's what they were, the waves.
You mean from the ship?
From the ship, yeah, yeah,
Boys will be boys, I guess.
of course, and so will girls. It goes both ways.
Do you remember getting the news that President Roosevelt was dead?
Yes, and like I said before, I can't remember if that's my dad died first or if he died first. It was a very bad time for both times. And I remember the captain, when my dad died, the captain of our ship drove me to the airport and got me a free flight home, which didn't exactly work out too good because the weather was bad. It was, that time of year was April. And we flew from Miami, which was my first time in an airplane too. I looked out and saw that flames coming out of the airplane. I thought, hey, this is not right, is it? But they said, yeah, it's okay. So I think we landed in Atlanta, and we stayed overnight in Atlanta. And the weather was still bad, but we took off and we were supposed to fly to Chicago. But we ended up in that big airport in Ohio. The heck was that? Anyway, I had to take a train from Ohio to home.
It must have been rough on you.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was. Because I had just seen him that Christmas. I was home for Christmas before that. And yeah, he died very suddenly. But the Navy gave me like 10 days or 2 weeks, and back on the train to Miami for the rest of the duration of the war. But the ship, they chipped in and bought a beautiful funeral flower arrangement. I remember that. So, like I said, we were all pretty much family.
That was nice of them.
Yeah, it was very nice.
When you received your discharge, had you given any thought to staying in the Navy?
The executive officer called me in and he says, Larry, you got your 44 points. We'd like you to stay. Would you consider it? And I said, no, I'm going home to my mommy. So that was the end of that conversation, I guess. Although, it was a good thing the war was over. Like I told you before, we were rated 2 rated signalmen that could read light and semaphore, and we were rated 1 striker. A striker was a guy that was learning how to do semaphore and read lights. But he didn't know how to read lights yet. So Jim and I got discharged. The ship goes out, and actually another ship, United States ship, challenged it. And they had nobody on board ship to answer the challenge. So I heard from guys later, that I knew. They said it was really a mess. Well, we're all running around. How do we answer this challenge? So actually, I should have stayed aboard until at least one more guy came aboard that could read light. So that was their problem, and I'm on my way home.
When let's see, you said you were discharged on 11 November 1945.
11/7, yeah. Well, lucky day, 11/7.
Did after you got out of the Navy, did you take advantage of the GI Bill?
I did, yes, I did. Actually, what happened, I didn't. I was in my last year in high school and I didn't graduate when I went in. So I went back to high school and under the GI Bill and got my diploma. And I planned on going to college, but at that time I didn't. I think when I was 46, I finally graduated from college. I finally made it. So
Never too late.
yeah, that's right.
I was 31 when I went to
Is that
college.
right?
So.
Okay. We're all late bloomers sometimes.
Did you have any trouble transitioning from sailor back to civilian?
Not whatsoever. No. I remember when the war was over, even aboard ship, everything was not aboard ship anymore. You went downstairs, you went upstairs. You didn't go down below, you didn't go up above, you went upstairs or downstairs. And crazy things like that. We got ourselves ready for being a civilian.
Usually when I ask guys that, they said the most difficult part of the transition was learning to watch their language in front of their mothers. What was your most memorable experience from your time in the military?
This is hard to come up with. I'll tell you one crazy thing that happened. The second captain that we got on this PC was, he had a lot of money. He was come from a rich family. And he had a membership at the McFadden Doville Hotel on Miami Beach. Miami Beach had been taken over by the Air Force. That was all Air Force. Okay, we're on the PC and the
you were talking about how the
captain
second skipper had a
yeah.
membership.
Well, what happened? His wife. They were living. Him and his wife were living off the ship, and him and his wife drove to the ship, and in his hurry, he jumped aboard the ship, and off the ship goes, and he forgot to give his wife his keys. So we get out to sea off the coast of Florida, and it's foggy as all get up. And we're with this other three PCs, and they're all anchored, waiting for the fog to lift. So he talks to the quartermaster, and he says, I got my wife's keys. She can't drive. She can't do nothing. What can we do? So the quartermaster says, I think I can send a dinghy in to the McFadden of Deauville, which we're not too far away from, I guess. And so he plotted a course. 3 guys in the dinghy besides me, 2 oarmen and 1 reserve, and I'm the guy on the tiller. And I got the compass, and he gives me the headache, and he's already figured the drift and everything. And by gosh, we got to the McFadden Deauville. Could you imagine there's people on the beach, and all of a sudden they see the rowboat come in? What are they thinking? Some ship is sunk out there. But it wasn't. It was us 4 guys on. And we looked like a bunch of ragtag sailors. So I got the keys, so I'd run them in, give them to the bartender, get back on, and we roll out to sea. You can imagine these people, what do these guys do? Now they're going back out there. And you can't see nothing, it's so foggy. And we're rolling in this fog. All of a sudden, bang, there it is. Quartermaster had it all figured out just right. I guess that's why he was chief quartermaster. But that was one of the craziest things that happened.
When y'all were operating off the coast of Florida, did y'all ever give any thought to, I mean, there were German U-boats prowling the east coast of the United States.
There was times when we were sent out to look for them. We never found them. Just like my buddy on his carrier, he never found the Japs. You're right about that, though. There was sinkings right up, in probably early in 45. And
the last day of the war?
Yeah.
There was a sinking May 8th.
Is that right? No, okay, well.
And there were hundreds and hundreds of ships that
Yeah.
were attacked and sunk off the east
Yeah.
coast.
Yeah, you're right about that. Mm-hmm.
Did y'all, when y'all were out either patrolling or for any reason, come across like the hulks of ships that had been sunk?
Never, no.
Or see any debris from ships that had been sunk?
No. Oh, I'm thinking about debris. There was an Air Force base, Coca-Cola, Florida, and they would practice diving on our ship every once in a while. Well, one time, one guy never pulled out of the dive, and he went in not too far in front of us, and we threw a marker out, green dye, I guess it was, but nobody ever came up, and so. But I guess they did find that plane later. I got an article in the paper that they did get that plane out later. But there was 2 guys went in with that thing.
Well, I know on the opposite coast of Florida, they used to make a joke about a plane a day in Tampa Bay because they were crashing so many planes.
Yeah, off of Panama City.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Same thing up here in the Great Lakes.
Yeah.
I mean, there's.
Yeah, they had a small aircraft carrier in the Great
Yeah,
Lakes.
the Wolverine was in Lake Michigan, and I mean, there's hundreds of wrecks
That's right. Mm-hmm.
down there.
Mm-hmm.
I just have a couple more questions for you, kind of closing questions that we ask everybody. Why did you serve during the war?
It was our duty, I guess. We just did it. We were, like you said, we're all a bunch of young punks that got straightened out by the DI, and we just did our job that we were supposed to do, I guess.
How
Yeah.
did
When you-
the war or your time in the service change your life?
Oh, I'm sure it made me a better person. There's no doubt about that. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
What does your service mean to you today?
Well, I'm still a 46-year member of the American Legion.